Is it okay for me to say something that I know is going to get me a whole ton of flack from the Amazing Digital Circus community? I think it's okay. Well, here it is. Nope! I don't believe any single one of our ships are going to set sail. They're all going to crash and burn and sink in the harbor. And why do I say that? Well, it's because they're not part of the story.
Move this man!
Okay, so before you guys drag me out and put me on a stake and burn me for my heresy for saying such dastardly things, let me just say, hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem, not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers, because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Now before I dive into this, let me just say this, whatever your ship is, awesome. Go ahead, do your amazing fan fictions, have your incredible theories, go and do your awesome artwork, have fun with the people in the Amazing Digital Circus community. It doesn't matter. Shipping is fun when it is done without any sort of weird toxic trait or without the overbearing shipping wars. It's fun. One of the reasons why people ship characters is because they become so highly invested in the well-being of these fictional characters that they want them to be happy, and one of the best ways to make them happy is to smoosh them together into a romantic relationship with someone or something else. Hey look, we've all been there. Ships are totally fine, just don't take it overboard. But here's the problem, is that as we get engaged with all of these shipping debates and shipping theories and the amazing shipping art, this leads a lot of people to thinking that that is how this story is going to turn out. That so-and-so is going to end up with so-and-so, and if it doesn't happen, oh no, then the story isn't good and these characters aren't happy. What was the point of going through this entire series?
I just have a lot of feelings.
I'm so invested in the lives of these characters!
So let's slow our rolls a little bit here and talk about what's actually happening in the Amazing Digital Circus. The Amazing Digital Circus is a story about existential horror. You have all of the main characters stuck in a video game world where they can, to a certain degree, feel their real bodies, and they are still acting as if they have their real bodies, but they are very clearly stuck in a video game where they cannot escape, they cannot progress. If they lose their minds, they abstract into monsters and get imprisoned in the cellar. And so they're slowly just losing themselves as Kane tries to keep them alive and normal to any sort of degree by giving them adventures to distract them. And these adventures could also very well be clues necessary to help them figure out what actually has happened to them and how they can escape the circus. We don't really know. That is part of the mystery that is unfolding from episode to episode. But because this is an existential horror show, that means that we are focused far more on the lives of our characters as they are trying to hold on to their sanity. What is the big problem that they just can't seem to overcome? How do they deal with that? And episode 3 was just beautiful for addressing some of the really big concerns within the overall story and helping Pomni to become more grounded and have a way forward for herself where she can hold on to her sanity far better going forward. And we also need to acknowledge it's not just Pomni's story right here. We have Ragatha, we've got Jax, we got Gangle, we got Zubul, we got Kinger, and then we've got what's going on with Kane. There is a lot happening, and all these characters need to have time to be properly developed. It's not just Pomni as the main character and everyone is a supporting cast. Everyone is meant to have their own special episode where we get to know more about them, what's happening with their lives, how are they dealing with the circus, what is their insanity, what is their real problem within the circus that is preventing them from moving forward. The existential horror, that is what all of this is about.
Why? Every day I spend here is one nightmare after the next. I knew it would end up like this. He just wants me to suffer. I really am in hell.
Don't say that. I know how I can feel in this circus. Sometimes it all just feels pointless, but it's not. Not if you have people who care about you. Good memories can do a lot. Hold on to them. And cherish the people around you.
And because that is the theme that we've been given in this show, it's one of the reasons why I don't believe that romance is really going to play that big of a role, if at all. Now, we do know it plays at least some small role for Kinger, thanks to learning that he had a wife. Or I would say has a wife still, that she's just abstracted and is down in the cellar. And is there a way that they can save her? Well, I mean, we definitely want to see Queenie get saved. So yes, Kinger, go on! Pomni, figure out a way of saving everyone who's abstracted. Figure out the clues in order to get us on out of here. So yeah, romance plays a role in Kinger's personal development, but obviously there's all these other shippable characters. What's going to be happening with them? Well, 3 episodes into the show, and there's only 9 episodes to the entire story, thanks to what Gooseworks has told us. In 3 episodes, other than Kinger, there's been no romantic setup. Oh, there have definitely been plenty of shipping moments, but let's compare this, for instance, over to Murder Drones, where already in episode 1, romance is introduced as one of the main elements of the story, thanks to Uzi crushing on Thad, and N revealing that he's got a major crush on V. Then in episode 2, we follow up with that, with getting the flashback to when N and V share their very first spark. Romance begins! It's the meet cute! Isn't this just so wonderful? And of course, then Uzi getting really anxious and sweaty because she's about to meet Thad again. And then we get the promening, where we get more romantic development. Then Cabin Fever Labs with all the angst and the jealousy. Episode 5, which threw Envy fans a big bone, before episode 6 has N and Uzi getting together, and then all the rest of the development all the way to the very end, where N and Uzi finally get together, and they're such a cute cinnamon roll couple. Or are they? Are we just being lied to?
You look great. Have you considered a bow, though?
In any case, Murder Drones already set up romantic options early on, whereas with the Amazing Digital Circus, there is no overt and not even any real covert setting up for ships. One of the big ships is Pomni and Ragatha, and that's totally understandable given some of their interactions. It is good ship-feeding moments. But let's have a quick look at what has actually been done with all of the big Pomni and Ragatha moments.
Who are you people? Why can't I take it off? Where am I?
Let's just try to calm down. Everything's gonna be okay, new stuff. We've all been through this. You just need to get your head
What the f is going on? What did any of that mean?
Oh, that's just one of Kane's little adventures. They're just something fun to do to, prevent us from going insane.
Speak for yourself. If anyone needs me, then f off.
So, this is where we all live. Or, well, where we all sleep at night. Even though we don't really need to sleep, it's sometimes nice to kind of take a break from everything and have a bit of a routine, you know? I'm sure there'll be one for... Oh, look, you already got one. Well, we usually do when we first arrive, but after a while you start to realize that you really can't leave, and constantly chasing an unattainable goal will start driving you a bit crazy. And eventually you get to asking what the point of anything is, and you completely lose sight of who you are and why you're even alive, and when you reach your breaking point, something really terrible can happen. Hey, Pomni! You think you could help me out here?
Ragatha? That was your name, right?
Over here.
Hey, hang in there. I'll be right back. I promise.
Cool. Oh, so Pomni, I'm sorry your first day here had to be so terrible. I am in so much pain. Hey, Pomni, how'd you sleep? Are you still sleeping? I'll let you get back to it if you are. There she is. Hope you're doing all right. I know yesterday was a bit of a doozy.
A doozy.
Oh, and don't Don't worry about the whole abandoning me for the exit thing. It's perfectly understandable what you were going through at the time, and there's no hard feelings. You're all good.
I like you already.
Look, Pomni, we're already friends with the princess.
I'm not a child. You don't have to hype me up.
Could always ask Kane to find her.
I'm more worried she's having another horrible experience. She still seems really upset about what happened yesterday. I don't think she really likes me that much.
It's a lot for anybody to go through. Don't take it too personally.
I'm really sorry about that, Pomni. At least you tried. You know, he might be back in a future adventure. I know Kane sometimes likes to reuse NPCs.
Got everything ready.
Hey, you at least want to join us for Kaufmo's funeral? We like to have a little funeral service to remember the people who abstract. This one just got pushed around a bit with your arrival and everything.
It's the least we can do to honor their memory.
Oh, this place is spooky. I wonder how hard Kane's gonna go with the scare factor.
I hope this adventure doesn't end up being another horrible nightmare. I'm not really a fan of horror, and I don't really handle jump scares that well.
Come on, that wasn't even scary.
Hey, Ragatha,
Yeah?
I just want to say thanks for always being concerned about me. I feel like through everything, I haven't really been appreciative enough about that.
Oh, thank you, Pomni. I just want to make sure you're doing all right. You know, we care about you.
Did you remember to get my comedy mask?
Now again, none of this is to say, your ship is bad, you should feel ashamed. No, not at all. What we see right here is we see the development of a very important friendship. Could it become romantic in the future? Well, that's what the shipping theories and everything else are there for. But within the story, as we've so far been given, nothing overtly or even covertly romantic. What we have is we have Pomni not trusting Ragatha at all. Ragatha really trying her best to help someone out. And why does she do this? Well, Zubul says it's just because that's her personality, and to a certain degree it is, but by Ragatha actually helping out other people within the circus, that is how she's holding on to her sanity, by being a support. If she's not a support, then why is she there? And all of the existential crisis that she is trying to shove off will come and crush her, like what we see very momentarily in episode 1. And she's trying to also pay it forward what Kinger did for her when she first arrived at the digital circus. And by Pomni finally, through her adventures with Gummy Goo and then with Kinger, realizing just how good of a friend and a support Ragatha is, she does the right thing and apologizes to Ragatha, and thus solidifies a very important friendship. Now again, could this be the stepping stone for a fantastic romance? Maybe, but again, we are 3 episodes in and there's been no real hint. Now remember this, we still need to deal with Jax and with Gangle. We need to definitely help Zubul along. Ragatha needs an episode. And as you dive more into these characters, into what they really need, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room for real romance. And if you just shoehorn in a romance at the end, it's unfulfilling. It hasn't been earned, and it will tick off everyone who wasn't rooting for that. And as someone who was an Envy shipper, I love the idea of Envy being together and an Uzi getting together was fine by me because it had been built towards. It made sense with how the story was executed. And it needs to be the same for the Amazing Digital Circus, otherwise that's a fly in the ointment, and we don't want that. And Gooseworks herself has done a fantastic job of really kind of staying out of this, saying, hey look, I've got this amazing story to tell. I've got 9 episodes to tell it, and I want you to be along for the ride. If you want to ship characters, awesome. I'm not going to tell you which way is which. I'm not going to give you any sort of clues. I want you to be there for my characters and their personal journeys. And Gooseworks is handling this absolutely fantastically, in my opinion. But ultimately, when I look at how the Amazing Digital Circus is unfolding, and knowing that we are going to focus on Gangle, focus on Jax, focus on Ragatha. There's still a lot to do with Zubul. We've got to resolve what's happening with Kinger. And never mind all of the major mysteries revolving around Kane and how Pomni also needs to grow as an individual. There's so much to talk about, so much to get into. And while romance can play a role potentially in these future storylines, there is one thing that I will pitch to you for your consideration. This is an existential horror. There is no easy way through it. There is no easy way out. Otherwise, it wouldn't be an existential crisis. It wouldn't be this horrific thing that you have no idea how you're supposed to deal with it and there's no way out. Now, there are those people in real life who do escape into relationships, into very romantic relationships, as a means of trying to escape a situation that they feel like they can't escape from. The problem is that people who go that route end up developing very toxic relationships with their partners. And we don't want to see any of that here. And it's something that I feel like Gooseworks realizes there's a lot of stickiness here if I go that route. Sure, people love a good romance, but can I really justify putting that into an existential horror without properly building it up long beforehand? We are a third of the way through the show. And while things do move pretty quickly within the digital circus, considering all the characters who need to be balanced, all of the story that needs to be covered, all of the mysteries that need to be solved, it would really feel like any romance would be shoehorned in. And it'd be very easy to fall into very toxic tropes and toxic unfolding of any relationship. Just smoosh these characters together and voila, everything is great. But that's not the way that it works. It absolutely isn't. And one of the things that I have seen personally, not just speaking as a YouTuber right here, but as someone who was a teacher for 4 years, and as someone who's been in the trenches with storytellers and on the dating scene for a very long time, I can absolutely tell you this. I've seen a lot of people ruin their own lives over shipping. Yes, it sounds absolutely stupid, because it is, but people get these ideas of what romance must be like. Well, in this fan fiction it works out, within this show it works out, this is the way it should be. Or, oh, I see myself in this character, and that's the romantic relationship that this character gets into within this book, this show, this movie. I want to have that. And it's fiction. It's not real life. Real life is messy, and the best romances are the ones that really delve into the minutia, that get messy, that get sticky, that are willing to show the good and the bad and show how characters are able to communicate, to overcome obstacles and really grow together as a couple. That is a fantastic romance. Now, if you want to put that into a story like The Amazing Digital Circus, fine, absolutely, go on ahead. But with 9 episodes, 3 of which are already done, the question is, can you really justify putting in a romantic subplot, one that needs proper time to build up good communication that will be fulfilling for these characters, that will help them to actually progress, and not just simply be a quick, easy fix solution to the existential crisis that they're in? Would it in any kind of way subvert the horror that Gooseworks has been heaping onto us from episode to episode? Those are some big questions to ask, and if you don't have ready and good, easy answers that you can easily apply to the story, there's a very good chance that it wouldn't fit in. And so I know that I've used Ragatha and Pomni as an example, but what I want you, dear viewer, to do is this. I want you to take any other relationship other than Kinger and Queenie, because we already know, hey, those two are married. But I want you to explore the potential of any other romance within the Amazing Digital Circus. What has been a good, concrete, overt, or even a more subliminal messaging of these guys have some great romantic chemistry, and figure out exactly how exactly you would develop that relationship while not taking away from the existential horror, while making sure that all of the other characters continue to have good, solid character arcs and good, concrete episodes that focus on their particular issue and how they might be able to overcome it, as well as unraveling the mysteries of the digital circus and how we're eventually going to get out of this digital nightmare. And if you can figure out exactly where a romance would fit on in there that would be fulfilling to the characters, fulfilling to the audience, and help the plot move along overall without degrading anything else, then you've got yourself actually a very excellent opportunity for a ship, nor better yet I say, a sculpted relationship. One that has been properly built up over time to truly be the fulfilling thing that we all need. And the way that I'm looking at the Amazing Digital Circus right now, although it's fun to ship, I really don't see how it can be fit in, how any of them can be fit in for the next 6 episodes without derailing the entire show. We'll get to see in the upcoming episodes as we go along, but if there isn't anything to truly introduce a good solid romance within the next few episodes, by the end of episode 5, I'd argue, you don't have the time to properly build up a good romance that wouldn't just feel, well, half-assed. And we don't want that. We don't want that in our stories. We want good, solid relationships. And again, I point to Murder Drones having made sure to introduce romance as a very viable element very early on. The Amazing Digital Circus hasn't done that. Doesn't mean it can't be introduced, but because it hasn't been a part of the story at all in these past 3 episodes, and we're now a third of the way through the show, I just don't see it happening. So there you go. With my argument laid out before you, feel free to now go ahead, tie me to the stake, and burn me like the heretic that I am. But while you are putting all of the wood and the oil on there and lighting the match, might I suggest that you go and you check out some of our other reviews and analyses that we've done here on our channel. I think you'll really enjoy them. And if you're looking for some zany stories just like the Amazing Digital Circus, then might I recommend to you checking out my book, either Knights of Halicruise or The Monarch Mercenaries Autonomy. I think you'll really enjoy those adventures. But otherwise, thank you so much for dropping by, watching our video here, supporting our adventure in writing, and if you haven't yet burned me at the stake, I will see you in the next video. Tschüss.